Samsung's 2016 revision of the Galaxy J5. I tested this phone for a week a while back but never got around to reviewing it. So last week, I popped my SIM back in for about 5 days. And here we are. So is this budget offering from Samsung one worth considering? Well, here goes. If this is your first time here or if you are a long time viewer who knows exactly how this video is gonna turn out, well, my name's Ash, this is C4E Tech, and you're watching my full review of the 2016 edition of the Samsung Galaxy J5. Let's get started. So let's start with the area where Samsung's made the most improvements, the build. The J5 now has chamfered metal to the sides, the back's still plastic but has a faux metal finish. This means the J5 doesn't feel cheap, actually feels kinda nice in hand. And though the display has grown by 0.2 inches, it still manages to remain optimized for single-handed usage. We have the power button to the right, nothing up top, meaning no secondary noise cancelling microphone. The volume rockers can be found to the left, and at the bottom, we have the primary microphone, micro USB port, and a 3.5mm headphone jack. Note that this phone has support for USB OTG. To the front, on top, we have a 5-megapixel front-facing camera, earpiece, sensors, and an LED light. Just like with last year's J, this is not a flash, just a light that you can turn on and off. Below that, we have the 5.2-inch display, and at the bottom, we have the familiar keys which still aren't backlit. Turning the phone around, we have an 8-megapixel rear camera with a single LED flash and a speaker. Samsung branding can be found below. This back is user removable, and inside we have 2 SIM slots and a micro SD card slot. The battery capacity is increased now. It's 3100 mAh, up from 2600 on its predecessor. But that doesn't really seem to do much. The battery life of this phone was okay, about average I'd say. In the time I spent with it, the J5 managed to get me through a day of moderate usage on a single charge, almost every day. But if you are a heavy user, you might find yourself having to search for an outlet before the day is done. Samsung has provided some power saving options, including the ultra power saving mode, to help you get more out of those last few percentage, and they do work well. Overall, the battery life is not bad, but at the same time is not what I would expect from a Samsung phone in this segment. Anyway, underneath the hood, the J5 is still powered by the same chip as last year, the old Snapdragon 410 chip. That's 4 Cortex A53 cores clocked at 1.2 GHz each, coupled with an Adreno 306 GPU. This time around, we do have an extra gig of RAM, and the storage is 16 gigs by default. The Galaxy J5 2016 is unimpressive in benchmarks, scoring lower than last year's budget devices from other manufacturers. That said, the Adreno 306 still is a decent GPU. It manages to hold up well, runs most games. Expect frame drops with intensive games, but for the most casual of games, the 306 will perform well. As with most Samsung phones, there were no signs of overheating here. The audio via the internal speaker is still not too loud, but the audio via the earphones, cellular reception, and call quality were all great. Like I mentioned earlier, the J5 2016 sports a larger 5.2-inch display, but the resolution is still 720p. This is a Super AMOLED display, but there's no mention of protection. Given that the display is larger this time around, the J5 does have a lower pixel density of 282 pixels per inch. That doesn't really make a difference, and the display looks good, the viewing angles are great, and it also gets bright enough to be easily used outdoors. Sadly, Samsung continues to omit the auto brightness sensor, so you're gonna have to toggle between brightness levels manually a lot. Now, moving on to the cameras, Samsung's again retained the same hardware, an 8-megapixel rear camera with an f1.9 aperture. This camera performs adequately under well-lit conditions, reasonable levels of detail, good contrast, nice shallow depth of field thanks to that wide aperture. Under low light, as expected, it falters, not too good. The J5 can also shoot 1080p videos at 30 frames per second, and the footage is decent, stable frame rate, average levels of detail, kinda similar to what we've seen with the photos. The 5-megapixel front-facing camera has a wide-angle lens and an f1.9 aperture again. It shoots decent selfies. The LED light can help a little when shooting under low-lit conditions. On the software side of things, this camera UI has a manual mode, but this is just the regular adjustments that you'd get with every camera. It's just labeled manual, not really a manual mode. the shutter response is not too fast. Anyway, moving on, the Galaxy J5 2016 runs on Android 6.0.1 Marshmallow with Samsung's TouchWiz UI on top. There's not a lot of preloaded apps here, the interface is refreshingly clean, but if it's not for you, this iteration of TouchWiz has support for the theme store. You do get to pick from a lot of themes to help you change the look and feel of your 2016 edition J5. Some of the Samsung marketing favorites like the Ultra Data Savings and the S-Bike mode are also present and accounted for. Despite having an older chip underneath, Samsung's done a fine job with optimizing TouchWiz. When it comes to the day-to-day usage, the J5 2016 is smooth. No random crashes, no lag with the basic apps, the user experience is not bad at all. The user experience is much better than the specs underneath. That said, does this J5 warrant a price tag of 13,000 rupees? Well, from a build and design standpoint, the J5 is excellent. The extra battery doesn't hurt too. But at a time where the Chinese competition is throwing in things like fingerprint scanners, full HD displays, optical image stabilization, a full manual mode, it just feels lazy to not update the SoC and cameras for an entire cycle. It's almost like Samsung started designing a phone to compete with the competition, and by the time the design was done, someone walked in and said, "Damn, that's too much for this price segment. You know what? Let's leave the rest as it is from last year." That's how it feels to me. Anyway, barring the dated specs, it's disheartening to see Samsung continue to ignore the basics, ignore the most basic of sensors, including the ambient light sensor, a secondary noise cancelling microphone, a notification LED, backlight for the capacitive keys, and oh yeah, haptic feedback, as always, is present but disabled. So, is the J5 2016 worth getting? I mean, do you not know my answer yet? Well, if you really need a Samsung phone at this price segment and are a light user, then yeah, it's not too bad a phone. It gets the job done, but if you're willing to consider other options, there are a ton of phones out there that will provide you better value for your money. So that's just my take on the J5 2016. Do you agree with my thoughts here? Let me know in the comments below, and I guess that's it for this video. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it, vote it down if you didn't, and for more videos like this, hit that subscribe button down below if you haven't already. And if for some reason you do want to pick a J5 2016 up, I'll leave direct links in the description below. Use them if you want to help the channel out. So I guess that's it for now. Thanks a lot for watching. Till next time, this is Ash here from C4E Tech signing off. You guys have a great day. Bye-bye now.